Snow drifted softly outside the Anderson estate, dusting the grand entryway windows as I stood clutching a warm, homemade apple pie. Victoria Anderson, my mother-in-law, eyed it as though it were radioactive. Her perfectly polished nails tapped against her designer gown. "Really, Emma? You should have just bought one." No attempt at politeness, just pure disapproval. Behind her, my husband James stared down at his luxury shoes like they held the answer to world peace. I'd spent half a day baking that pie from my grandmother's recipe, but Victoria Anderson would never see effort, only imperfection. To her, anything made by hand was something beneath her class. "And that dress," she circled me slowly, her tone like a cat ready to pounce. "I thought we agreed on formal wear for Christmas Eve." My simple green dress had taken weeks of saving to afford. Not that Victoria would understand. When your life runs on a banking fortune, budget is just a word other people use. "I think Emma looks nice," Rachel, my sister-in-law, offered gently, but one glare from her mother silenced her. "Nice isn't enough," Victoria snapped. "The Rockefellers are joining us. The governor's family too. Try to remember who we are." My reflection in a gilded mirror caught my eye. 32, younger by decades than her surgically smoothed 60, but in her world, youth meant nothing if you weren't draped in couture. "Where's your jewelry?" she demanded. "Surely James has bought you something appropriate." Her gaze landed on my single pearl necklace, my mother's last gift. Her lips curled. "Mom," James muttered at last, still avoiding my eyes. "Maybe we should." "Should what?" She cut him off. "Keep pretending your wife belongs here." "Really, James? A kindergarten teacher? We all thought it was a phase. 5 years of this. 5 years of quiet insults, of James promising to defend me only to crumble the moment his mother spoke. "Victoria," I began evenly, "I know you have certain expectations." "Expectations?" she scoffed. "I expected my son to marry someone who could represent us. Instead, he chose a woman who thinks bringing a homemade dessert to a catered gala is acceptable, and who wears department store dresses among Chanel and Dior." The doorbell rang. Silhouettes appeared through the frosted glass. Guests arriving. James shifted again, voice low. Maybe you shouldn't stay for dinner." The word stung like ice. I shouldn't have been surprised, but I still felt something crack inside me. Something small but final. "Better for who, James?" "Please don't make a scene," Victoria hissed. "The Rockefellers are here. Go home. We'll talk later." He said nothing, just stared at the floor. I set the pie gently on the marble table. "You're right," I said quietly. "I don't belong here. I never did." "Finally," Victoria sighed with relief. "James, escort her out the back way. We can't have." "Oh, I'll take the front door," I said, my voice calm but clear. "Like any guest would." Her face went pale. "Don't you dare." But I was already walking away, head high, heart strangely light. I opened the door just as Harrison Rockefeller and his wife were about to ring again. "Emma," he exclaimed warmly. "Everything all right? The kids adore you. Wouldn't want anything to happen to their favorite teacher." "Everything's fine," I said with a smile, feeling Victoria's icy silence behind me. "Absolutely fine." Her confusion melted into a cold, satisfied smile. "Please enjoy your evening, and tell Emily she made a lovely little angel." I gave a polite nod, stepping out into the swirling snow. Behind me, Victoria Anderson was left to greet the governor's wife and her daughter, another of my students, with no explanation for my sudden departure. What Victoria didn't realize, what none of them realized, was that I was far more than the humble kindergarten teacher she dismissed so easily. The modest inheritance my mother left me had flourished under smart investments. And the small educational software startup I'd built after hours, recently valued in the 8-figure range. Meanwhile, the grand Anderson mansion, her prized symbol of status, was circling the drain. Thomas Anderson's risky financial plays had backfired spectacularly. I knew, of course. I was on the board of the very bank that held their mortgage. Anonymously. As I drove through the quiet, snow-covered streets, my phone lit up with message after message from James. Mom didn't mean it. Please come back. We can talk tomorrow. I didn't reply. Instead, I called my financial advisor. John. It's Emma. Remember that property we discussed? I'm ready to make a move. Victoria had been right about one thing. I didn't belong in their world. I was about to own it. 2 months later, I sat in my lawyer's office, reviewing the final paperwork for the auction. Thomas Anderson's financial empire had crumbled, dragging the family's reputation down with it. The auction's tomorrow, Michael, my lawyer said. You're certain you want to go through with this? It's well above market price. I smiled, imagining Victoria's face when she realized the truth. Oh, I'm sure. Is everything arranged exactly as I requested? Yes. The purchase will go through BA Holdings. Completely anonymous. No one will trace it back to you. Perfect. My phone buzzed again. Another text from James. Please, Emma. Mom's falling apart. Dad hasn't slept. We can fix this. I added it to the folder of unread messages. In the 8 weeks since that disastrous Christmas Eve, James had gone from angry to apologetic to desperate. Victoria even showed up at my school, only to be escorted out by security. Being an Anderson didn't mean much there. Did you know, I said to Michael, Victoria once told me teaching was a hobby for women who couldn't do better? Half her friends' kids attend my school. He laughed. Poetic justice. The auction itself couldn't have been more anticlimactic. I wasn't even present. While I taught my class about butterflies, my proxy secured the winning bid. Cash offer, one stipulation. The Andersons had 30 days to vacate. Later, I heard Victoria had shown up at the auction, expecting a wealthy acquaintance to swoop in and save her. Instead, an unknown corporation outbid everyone in minutes. A week later, James caught me outside my classroom. He looked like a ghost, wrinkled suit, dark circles, desperation in his eyes. Emma, please. Mom's losing it. That house has been in our family for generations. I tilted my head. That's interesting because according to these records, I pulled a folder from my bag. Your parents bought it only 5 years ago from the Williams family. So much for family legacy. His expression collapsed. Even their history was fabricated. The new owners won't negotiate, he muttered. Dad offered more. With what money? Cut in. The money he gambled away. Or what's left of your mother's social budget. Moving day dawned bright and icy. I was there officially to oversee the transition. Victoria barked orders at the movers like a general losing a war, while Thomas sat in his study nursing a drink before noon. Careful with that, she snapped. That settee is worth more than your salary. Actually, I said calmly, checking my clipboard, most of these items were rentals. That settee goes back to Hampton Lux Rentals. She spun around, color draining from her face. What are you doing here? I smiled pleasantly. Representing the new owners. We're here for the final walkthrough. Just a final walkthrough before you hand over the keys, I said evenly. Victoria's eyes flashed. You have no right to be here. She has every right. Rachel's voice cut through the tension. She stood in the doorway, looking tired but strangely calm. Emma's the new owner, isn't she? The room went silent. Even the movers froze mid-step. What? Victoria whispered. Rachel gave a dry, humorless laugh. Oh, please, Mother. The anonymous buyer. The 1-month deadline. The precise list of which furniture was rented. Who else could it possibly be? I didn't answer, just checked another box on my clipboard. Impossible, Victoria muttered. She's a kindergarten teacher. She makes nothing. Actually, Rachel said, crossing her arms, I did some digging after Christmas. Emma's educational software company. It's worth millions. And that little classroom you like to mock. It's the one where half your friends' children go. Oh, and that pie you sneered at. It was her grandmother's recipe. Evelyn Montgomery's recipe. Victoria's face drained of color. The Montgomery name carried old money and deep respect, the kind that never needed to flaunt it. Rachel's tone softened. Your father was Samuel Montgomery's son, wasn't he? The tech innovator. I finally looked up, meeting Victoria's gaze. That's right. Samuel Montgomery, founder of the very bank that holds your mortgage. Life's full of interesting connections, isn't it? Victoria sank onto the staircase, her dress collapsing in a heap of expensive fabric. All this time, she murmured. All this time, I agreed. You were too busy looking down to ever look closely. Oh, and that charity board you've been begging to join. I've been on it for 3 years. They're the ones who recommended my school to the Rockefellers. James appeared in the doorway, pale and stunned. You bought our house. Not quite, I said, smiling faintly. I bought my house. You just happened to be the previous tenants. Victoria found her voice again. You did this out of spite. Because of Christmas. No, I said softly. Because it was a smart investment. The fact that it happens to teach you a little humility. Consider that a bonus. Or as you once called it, a hobby. I walked through the now empty halls, my heels echoing against marble floors that belonged to me. Oh, and don't worry about forwarding addresses, I added. Your lawyers will receive everything. Everything. Thomas slurred from the study doorway. Yes, I said, turning to face him. Including the divorce papers. James flinched. Divorce. Emma, you can't mean that. Did you really think I'd stay? I asked quietly. After 5 years of you choosing their approval over me? No, James. This is my way of saying goodbye, and of reminding you that appearances aren't everything. Victoria rose shakily. The governor's wife. The Rockefellers. They'll never accept you after this. You mean like they didn't accept me at Emily Rockefeller's birthday party? Smiled. Or the governor's education gala last weekend. I'm afraid, Victoria, you're the one who doesn't belong anymore. I held out my hand. The keys, please. Hours later, the mansion stood empty. Victoria had fled to her sister's guest house, Thomas to a small condo, and James to wherever broken promises go. I stood in the silent foyer, the same place where, 2 months earlier, they'd tried to make me feel small. My phone buzzed. A text from Rachel. For what it's worth, you were always too good for this family. I smiled, picturing Victoria's face when she realized who truly held the power now. The mansion that once represented arrogance and exclusion was about to become something better. Within months, the Elizabeth Montgomery Children's Center would open, offering care to families regardless of wealth or status. The same marble foyer that had been a stage for humiliation would become a place of warmth and welcome. Because real victory isn't just buying the house of those who looked down on you. It's turning their monument to pride into a sanctuary of kindness. I still teach kindergarten. I still drive my modest car. I still bake pies from my grandmother's recipe. But now, when society whispers about the Anderson family's spectacular fall, they also mention the quiet teacher who reminded them of one simple truth. Never underestimate the person you think is beneath you, because they just might own your mortgage.